part of this session. Please make sure that they are able to come through and they'll be able to enjoy this session with us. I think Coach Samuel Ibanda needs no introduction. He has been part of us. If you've been part of the Personal Finance Mastery community and you've seen his different sessions, his different knowledge that he always shares with us. Before he comes in, I'm going to encourage you that please, if you're not talking, make sure that you're on mute. Make sure that you use the chat room to ensure that all your views are not ignored. And I would like to encourage you that after this session, visit our YouTube channel, and that is Personal Finance Master with Darius. I'll share the link in the chat room as we conclude so that you can visit it and check out our previous sessions. So Coach Samuel Ibanda, you've been very instrumental in helping a number of people manage their finances. And today we are delighted to host you to take us through the same. I would like to hand over the platform to you so that you share with us. I'll make sure that everyone is on mute, and later I'll give them an opportunity to ask their questions. I'll also make sure that each and every one of us is catered for, and that we have a Q&A where issues are responded to. So members, I would like to encourage you, please get engaged, make sure that all your issues are responded to, make sure that you're able to learn, and most importantly, go and apply whatever you're going to learn from today. Coach Samuel, over to you. Hi, Samuel. Could you please take on?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Samuel. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Personal Finance Mastery. I'll just share my screen just very shortly here. So just let me take this to basically, okay. To those that are joining in this, maybe from the different links, basically we are here basically to learn more about budgets and then expenses. But I'll be able to explain more why we are seeing something to do with income and saving as well, appearing on just in our introduction picture. So like Darius did introduce me, I'm Coach Samuel. You'll be able to understand who I am even as we proceed through the session. But before we go so far, I want us to do some small reflection. Yeah. So once we see this picture, I know most of us have come across this picture in very many platforms, either maybe on social media or in different groups. You might have come across this picture. And in this, we see basically salary, fuel, food, rent, and somebody right here. So it's a key demonstration of our realities that we live in. So this is somebody like you or like me, who is asking, who is saying, dear salary, why are you not growing? You salary, why are you not growing? All your friends are growing up or are grown up, and salary is still the way it is. Now, from our conversation, you'll be able to agree with me that in most cases, our incomes, the rate at which they grow is not commensurate when it comes to our expenses. And a time like this, when we are just from the pandemic, we have seen a spike in the increment of some of the expenses. And this has made, of course, has brought a lot of conversations, and of course, many are struggling in this kind of area. Now, why do we speak about budgeting and the expense management at a time like this, I know you must have had about different conversations. And these conversations could be around investment, saving, could be around, of course, we could have different investment in shares, side hustles, and so on. But those conversations, all those aspirations cannot move forward. You cannot move forward on such aspects if your expenses are not in shape. In terms of your expense management principles are not in shape. So that is why we felt we should have this conversation, that as a matter of fact that we've discussed investment in unit trust, investment in real estate, investment in shares, and so on. How can we be able to ensure that we're having enough to make sure that we are meeting these priorities as well? Okay. So I hope we've seen this picture before, and I believe that this can reflect your life as well. I know we have some other people who are joining in this conversation, and maybe you're not an employee, but just where there is salary, just include maybe profits from your business. So it is something that all of us at one point in time have an issue with along our journey to financial independence or financial freedom. So very interesting picture right there that we need to see. So I don't know what your thoughts could be, but one of the things that I've really learned so much about life is that we have some level of control in terms of whatever everything happens to us. Okay, even the fuel, the food, rent, salary we are seeing right here, as we are seeing salary not growing, we also understand very well that we have some level of control of this salary. Basically, the responsibility to grow this salary is also within our hands. And I'll build on to that conversation even as we proceed. And not only I'm basically an evangelist of alternative sources of income, what I usually call, of course, some other people may call multiple income streams. So ours from this conversation is not only just keep on seeing how are we regulating the growth of fuel, food, and rent, but we also want to see how can really our salary as well grow, or our incomes also grow. Okay, so it's a pleasure to have you part of this call, and I want to welcome you, all of you that have come. Glad to see a lot of people trying to introduce themselves in the chat box. Like Darius indicated, this session will basically run for the next 40 minutes, and then we shall have some Q&A. So in case I speak of anything that you feel you may need more clarification, or you may want to share a perspective, please go on and include that in the chat box, and then we shall give you a chance when that time comes. So I'll basically proceed so much to the next slide. So just to do a little small introduction so you know the person you're talking to. And the reason why I want to introduce myself is because it will tell you the kind of the structure of my personal finance life. And with this, I'm speaking not only just as a single person, but I'm speaking as somebody who is married. So I'm married, I'm a husband, I'm also a father. I'm a mentor, I'm a coach, I'm a friend, I'm a teacher, as well as I'm a business owner, and as well as an accountant. Now, why all these titles? Of course, this is who I am, and this is my individual. Now, when it comes to expense management, as well as, of course, your budgeting, it all comes to your self-realization, okay? And that's why I'm trying to introduce myself so you know why I am speaking of my conversation, why I'm bringing different aspects of life, because of the life that I'm currently living, okay? So that just to give you, I'm an accountant, but that does not mean that my knowledge for money comes from being an accountant. I want to really be honest that there are several accountants that are struggling with their finances. And for me, life has taught me more about money than my profession as an accountant, okay? And of course, I'm a business owner as well, okay? And I think from the other picture, I think for me, it's not only the salary standing, but at least I have another alternative source of income that is standing. The other lines of teacher, friend, mentor, coach, many of you know me. I'm a finance and business coach, and many of you, or some of you, might be part of some of my programs, so be able to understand more even as we proceed ahead. just so you know. I'm a global speaker, business consultant, a trainer, and a renowned life coach. And of course, my emphasis or my area of specialization is in business and financial management, as well as career. Of course, I've worked with different multinationals. I've worked with Alliance One, Imprint Uganda. I've worked with Vodafone, Save the Children. And I'm also, like I said, I'm a business owner. The founder and CEO of Bucks Africa, which is a training and consultancy firm that is focused at helping of course, business and professionals get the best results through maximizing their potential. Of course, so I'm also a co-founder and director of Achievers Training Consultants, which trades as Achievers Professional Trainers, and we are one of the leading accountancy training firms in Uganda. Of course, I'm also passionate at inspiring professionals like you to earn more and grow your wealth. That is basically my mission, and I'm on a mission to help over 2,000 employees start and run, of course, side hustles, at least by the end of 2022. Okay, so I run a business and career solution hub where I do share a lot of information around this area. I'm also just giving you this insight so you basically know who I am. So that is me. I found passion in sharing and creating impact in people's lives, and I believe that at the end of the day, your life will be impacted as well. Okay. Yeah. So why we are here today, basically we are here to learn how we can leverage on budgeting as well as expense management to improve on our personal financial management, which is one of the areas that most of us are really struggling in. Most of us have aspirations of investing, of of saving, of preparing for maybe emergencies and so on. But the key challenge that we have is how to manage our expenses. Our expenses keep growing every day, just like the way we saw the picture. But when it comes to our incomes is still is just standing. It doesn't grow at the same rate. And the reason why income does not grow at the same rate is because you have less control over income. Now, I know that when you look at expenses, you'll want to tell me that you don't have control over expenses. Okay. But one of the things that I want to tell you, and why we have this conversation, is despite the dynamics that happen when it comes to expenses, what exactly can we do to manage our expenses? Okay, some expenses really are out of hand, and as we are going to see as we proceed, but then we have some expenses that we can actually manage. Okay, we can make some choices that can help us spend low, or we can make some choices that can help us, of course, save as much as we can. Okay, so and that's why we are here to learn. Yeah, so I'll start with a conversation on expense management. Okay, just like the way we had our flyer speak about expense management. Now I want to start with a quote, as you can see right here, which quote goes by, "A penny saved is a penny earned." Okay, a penny saved is a penny earned, as we can see in the picture here. Okay, this quote was by Benjamin Franklin, one of the personal finance gurus. But as we can also see the picture here, is that once you of course you save that penny, and that penny is earned, it even helps it to grow. Okay, even it helps it to grow. So we want to see how can we manage our expenses. Now I want to start by sharing a personal story. I told you for example, I'm a husband, I'm a parent. So, and you know very well that if somebody is running a family, that is a key point for expenses. Okay, and as well as we need also to appreciate that, of course, the more your family grows, the more your so expenses grow. I know I have some brothers on this call who are not married, and you still struggle with your expenses. And I want to just give you a picture also as well, that when you cross this other side, what should you really expect, and what exactly should you be doing to ensure that you don't have to get yourself into debt because you have to sustain your lifestyle. Okay, because at the end of the day, once we don't manage our expenses rightly, we find ourselves in circumstances where we have to borrow from our future, which is the aspect of loans. Okay, so as a parent, as a husband, of course, before I really I got here in this position, of course, I was a single man, and I was earning a very small amount of money. Okay, I started earning from as low as 370,000 shillings as jumping into my career. And of course, at the end of the day, I had several expenses that I was actually incurring along the way, because I had rent and I was renting around Kampala, and you all know what rent looks like around the city. Of course, I had transport expenses. I had, of course, meals. I had clothing. I had, of course, at that point in time, I didn't married. So I also had relationship expenses. Okay. My friends that are single know some of these things, where you take somebody out and a 60 or 50,000 has to just leave the pocket just like that. So life taught me basically, my whole experiences. And by the way, I just want to put a disclaimer: whatever I'm sharing worked for me. Some things may work for you, some things may not really work for you. Okay, so that was the point in time when I started to think about my expenditure habits. Okay, that's when I started saying, where should I eat? Which joint should I go to eat? What kind of means should I use in circumstances? If I'm to have, let's say, maybe contributions to make, maybe for events like parties or weddings, what exact choices should I actually make? Okay, so my single life was, of course, was a little simpler, because I was single and I didn't have a lot of expenses. Okay, though of course, when you compare them to my income, the expenses were still a little taking a huge portion of my salary. Okay, so once I got married, again the conversation changed. Of course, when I was single, I could afford to go maybe without, let's say, supper. Okay, I could go maybe without, let's say, even maybe taking some kind of things, like maybe going for holiday or whatever it is. I could, because that it was my personal life, so I could choose. I could even say, instead of boarding this place, let me just take a walk and get there. Okay, now when you get to become a parent, those are some of the things that you cannot really do, because your family has to feed. You need to have maybe if you're still renting, you have to have enough space where you're comfortable. You have to make sure that you're really catering for the daily expenses. I want to tell you that these will really go high, because you are one person. You now have a wife. Now have let's say, son or daughter. You now have a maid. Maybe you could have maybe another sibling who might come and stay with you, and you end up from just one single person that you were, you've now become, like, let's say, 4 or 5 people in the household. Okay, and with this, just know everything is getting increasing every day. Okay, so for me, once I go to that level, by the time I go to that level, I try to appreciate personal finance management. I know some of us have this aspiration, but when it comes to implementing, now some of the things that I want to share with you are not things that you just, let's say, you just do out of ease. It's not a walk in the park. These are sacrifices. Okay, because when it comes to expense management, you have to sacrifice. Now, what I exactly did, especially when I got married, mine was to look at, in terms of, how much are we spending every day? Okay, how much are we spending every day? And I would look at, let's say, food, and see, on average, how much do we spend on food? And of course, food, I would add all the other complements to the food, and I say, maybe we're spending average, maybe about maybe 10,000 on food. Okay, and that is just a rough estimate for you. And then I went ahead to look at rent. How much are we spending on rent? Okay, and then I also went ahead to look at, of course, transport, and that also includes fuel. I went on to look at other subscriptions like TV. I also looked at utilities, electricity, and so on. And all that, whatever I was doing, I was basically noting this down. And in the same way, of course, as I share this, I want you to pick key lessons. The greatest, the easiest way for you to basically understand your expenses is to get that pen and paper and note down and list this. Okay, and list this. And the reason why you list some of these expenses is because throughout the whole process, you get to realize that there are certain things that you're spending on, but you shouldn't be spending on, maybe on such things. But because you've not done such a reflection, you find yourself in circumstances where you just keep on spending, you just keep on spending. But once you list down in terms of your expenditure, so I listed down in terms of my expenditures, anything that takes a penny, even if it's like a 500 shillings. Of course, these are estimates. I know there are certain things that you cannot easily, you may not list 100%, but you make sure that at least whatever you can remember, you write it down, okay? And then once you write it down, yours is also look at what are some of those that are fixed, okay? They are basically fixed expenses that you cannot do away with. They are basically necessities in nature, okay? Now, those you need to rank them differently compared to these other expenses that just come in, okay? They are basically, they just come in, they are once in a while. So you need to also classify those and see how your whole expense structure looks like, okay? Now, as I did the expenses, definitely, of course, since this conversation is now around, of course, expenses and then budgeting, I also looked at my incomes as well, okay? I looked at my incomes, and I'm using the word, of course, incomes, because I'm a person who is, of course, is a preacher of side incomes, of multiple sources of income. So I listed down my incomes, and for me, from the time I joined my career world, I made a strong decision not to depend on salary alone. Why? Because I realized if there is a lifestyle that I want to live, it cannot be sustained by just salary alone. Okay, so I listed my incomes. Okay, basically listed my incomes, and once I did that, I was able to now see what can I maybe reduce, okay, on some of my expenses, because it is something that you need to see how, because when you say expense management, we are not just saying just see how to make sure that you fit within, okay, you fit within, of course, your lifestyle, what they usually say, living within your means. But I looked for better ways of how to actually reduce my expenses, okay? And that is when I now adopted things like buying in bulk, okay? I'll tell you that at home, I make sure that I buy, let's say, a sack of rice. So because a sack of rice is about, I usually buy the sack of rice at around 75, okay? And those are about 25 kgs, okay? And that means that I'm buying a kilo at just 3,000. Now, if I'm to buy a single kilo, I'm charged over 4,000 just within my name. The average price is 4,000. So I started now buying things like rice in bulk because I know I would save. I also did for sugar, okay? And then also went on to do for soap. Just like the way these shops buy on wholesale, I also do the same thing. Now, when do I actually do this? I do this usually at the start of the month because that is when I have enough money with me. So at the start of the month, mine is to look at what are some of those things that have actually gone to maybe nearly reducing, so I should top them up. So I'm able to bring to just make a list, and I'm able to get those things in bulk, okay? And that is one of the things that has really worked for me when it comes to expense management. Buying in bulk is, you might look at it as something that's going to take a lot of your money, especially in the first, maybe when you're buying in the first phase. But I want to tell you that it is something that will really, really, really help you. Don't just buy a single unit, buy in bulk so that you can be able to, of course, tap into a reduced price, but also a discount at the end of the day. So that helps me. Of course, in this one, there's some certain things that you cannot buy in bulk, so you have to buy, but at least anything that you can buy in bulk, then you should be able to adopt that. Now, one of the other things that I also did when it came to my expenses, okay, apart from buying in bulk, I also looked at some of some other expenses where I would actually find cheaper means of actually attaining the same result, okay, but in a cheaper way. Now, all this that I'm sharing you is a frugal way of doing things. I know some people this may not be comfortable for them, and they may not want to choose maybe certain cheaper options. Of course, at the end of the day, when it comes to expense management, what works for me may not work for you, okay? Because at the end of the day, we have different lifestyles, we have different aspirations, and we want to make sure that we are living a life that we are comfortable with. We don't want to, life is supposed to be lived, okay? And of course, there's that you live only once. But at the end of the day, you don't want to live. There's a saying that says it's better for you to act poor when you're rich than actually to act rich when you're poor. Okay, I repeat, it is better to act poor when you're rich than to act rich when you're actually poor. Okay, and why we're also managing up our expenses right now is because we want to have enough that we can save and invest and be able to take control of our future, okay, where we will not be earning, okay, at the end of the day. And also we can't tell how the future will look like in terms of some expenses, like for example, medical bills and so on, okay. So we want to make sure that we are saving as much as we can to make sure that at least everything is a bit secure the other side. So it's very important for us to think about the area of expense. So I did the bulk purchasing. I looked for cheaper means, and by cheaper means I mean if we were buying, let's say, food from a restaurant at a given time, we chose to cook it at home. At the time when I was dating with my wife, of course we were two, and we sometimes would just get lazy and just buy some of the things from restaurants. And at the end of the day, you're buying something like at 7,000, maybe not even 7,000, you're even buying something like at 20,000. Maybe you've gone to KFC or you've gone to Cafe Javas, such lifestyles, especially when you're still young. There are lifestyles that you want to really do often, maybe every weekend, not even every weekend, but within the week, like 3 times. So we chose to make sure that at least we are cooking most of our food. Once in a while, we really go out and have a good time, but it's not every day. It's not like every week. At least once in a while, we go and happen, but we're able to do some of the things at home. Okay, so that is one of the things that I really also tried to, of course, also do. And then one of the other things that I also did is to restrict some of, like, basically I sat together with my wife, and one of the things that I want to share with you is that on your journey to expense management, especially for married people, this is not a conversation for you alone, okay? If you're a husband like me, it's a conversation for you and your wife, okay? As a family, you need to sit down and agree to some of these things and see what works for you and what, of course, some of these conversations are not really easy conversations to start, but I want to tell you that once you start them, you reduce a lot of pressure on you, okay? Because at the end of the day, these people don't understand. Some people who are part of this call, some men don't even want to tell their women how much they earn. At the end of the day, people just see things happening. So for them, even when it's just maybe switching off a bulb, for them it doesn't matter for them, because they believe there is money. Even if they are to ask for maybe for a trip, they know there's actually money is available. So you need to see what exactly works for you as a couple and be able to sit together. And all these things of expense management, when you speak about expense management and budgeting, they are not independent of your financial goals, okay? Actually, for you to foster your financial goals, this is a catalyst. Expense management and on budgeting is a catalyst. And most of us, of course, have aspirations when it comes to, let's say, maybe budgeting, and we struggle. Even expense tracking, I know we struggle. Myself, I've struggled this with for some good time, but over time, I'm appreciating and I'm trying to be a little more consistent about it. And I just use simple kind of tools that are helping me on this journey. Okay, and I'll be sharing some of those tools just for you shortly, even as we proceed. But that I think for me, those points that I've shared helped me along the way. And of course, I continue to understand, like I said, I made sure I put a cap on some certain kind of expenses. And that helped me to start doing living within my means, to know that, okay, if I'm going to, let's say, if I'm going to this place, instead of driving, sometimes maybe I'll take a taxi. And doesn't mean that maybe I can't drive to such a place, but if I feel I'm going for this long journey and it will take over 500,000 of my fuel, I'm like, why don't I take a bus? And I know that I'm going through that phase, but I'm also being able to save something. Okay, so that's why some of the things that you need to think about, that what is really taking up a lot of your money, okay, and seeing what exactly can you do to adjust, because you want to make sure you're saving every penny that you can actually save. Okay, so that for me helped me. At the end of the day, also one of the things that helped me much was to make sure of course I save fast. Okay, to make sure I basically subscribed to automatic deductions off my account, and I signed up with an insurance policy. I save also with an investment club, and then also I also have certain other deductions that just get off my account. Okay, so for me that really helped me to make sure that, okay, I know that this is my portion for maybe saving for emergency fund, this is my portion for investment, and this is my portion that is going to maybe to life insurance, and then this is another portion that maybe I'm putting to, let's say, to giving or tithe, and then I'm also having another portion that maybe I'm putting onto something else. Okay, so that helped me at the end of the day. So you too, you need to think about what exactly works for you. Okay, but the first whole thing that you should do is to sit down and list some of your expenses. You may not going to be doing this every month, but sit down and list some of the expenses. It will give you a realization, okay, and will help you to reflect on some of the things and see what kind of areas can you reduce. Okay, at the end of the day, you also want to make sure that whatever expense you're incurring, it should be something that is worth it. Okay, you should not just be spending money every day. One of the things and one of the reasons why I keep on preaching the aspect of alternative sources of income is that in most cases, every day we are spending, by the way. Like, our life is all about spending. The house you're sleeping in, the meals you're eating, the movements that you make, every day we are spending. Now, the question is, can't we really earn every day, just like the way we spend? Of course, it's very possible. Okay, it's very possible. Actually, yesterday I was doing a session about how to create alternative sources of income, and some of you might have been part of this call, and those that missed, you can actually find this on my YouTube channel, Coach Samuel Ibanda. I already uploaded the recording. But ours is not only think about expense management. Ours is also to look at our income as well. Our income needs to be looked at, and that gets me to a conversation of budgeting. Okay, and those that are not maybe well conversant with this word, the word budgeting, a budget is basically telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Okay, and that is Dave Ramsey, one of the personal finance experts in the world, that made this statement. Actually, even John Maxwell made a very similar statement. Now, in most cases, have you been in a scenario where you earn a very good salary? And this is very common within many corporates. I think about over 70% of corporates face this whole aspect. You earn an amount of money that is very good. I'll say maybe average 5 million shillings. Of course, it's on a high end, but I know many people who are earning such amount of money. But at the end of the day, when the month ends, even before the month ends, when you've earned that money, by the 15th day, you actually don't have even 20% of that money, and you can't tell where that money has gone. Even when you just sit there and like, maybe I paid this one, I paid, like, you can't tell where your money has gone. I think we've been in such a dilemma before. Okay, and you start saying, is it that I'm not just lucky that money just comes and finds me? You even have people who have worked for long and have been earning a very good amount of money, and maybe they go into retirement or they lose their jobs. And when you ask them how much you've been earning vis-a-vis what they really have or whatever they have attained in life, it is really alarming. Okay, and even themselves, they really feel sorry for themselves. Okay, so that is what budgeting basically will help us when we start to have some realization. Okay, when we still have some realization of seeing what can we basically do, okay? What can we basically do to increase on our incomes as well as manage our expenses, okay? So for me to elaborate this, I'll ask you to allow me just move to this slide, okay? So I hope you can see my screen right here. I just wanted to do this in a much practical way. Now, when it comes to budgeting, like we said, you're basically directing where your money to go instead of wondering where it went. We are basically trying to see what exactly takes our money, okay? And where does our money come from, okay? That is very important. Now, when we're saying a budget, by the way, is not only looking at expenses. Budget is looking at both your incomes as well as your expenses, okay? Now, like I said, of course, when it comes to incomes, most of us are only here. Most of us only have this aspect called monthly salary, and you don't have anything. Now, I'm using this as a sample. This is a snapshot of a few things that are included within my budget. Okay, as you can see, when you come to my when it comes to incomes, I have, of course, a monthly salary. Okay. I'm also employed, like you saw. I'm an accountant. I work with Save the Children as a partnership finance lead, and yes, I'm earning an amount of money here. But for matters of course, privacy and so on, I'll just use a dummy amount here. So I'll just maybe, if in case maybe I was just starting out my career and maybe I'm earning maybe 2 million shillings. Okay, so I'll just use let's say that I'm earning 2 million shillings here. Okay. Okay. So one of the other things that I do as an individual, of course, I'm a coach and I'm a trainer. Okay. Some of you have attended some of my trainings. And for me, this is an income to my institute that comes into to me. Okay. So I would say maybe this in this month, I've been able to, let's say, run trainings, and maybe they're going to give me about, let's say, maybe 400,000. Okay, like that. So I also own a retail shop. I deal in stationery and office supplies. I have a small profit that comes from there. Okay, but I'll just use a dummy here. So let's say I'm maybe getting 150,000. Okay, very small amount of money, but at the end of the day, when it comes to growing in your personal finances, every small penny matters. Okay, every small penny matters. So I'm also a tutor. I tutor CPA. So I'm able to cascade how much I earn over the 3 months, because our semesters are 3 months, on a monthly basis. So let's say I'm earning 1 million shilling. Okay, from here. Like I said, these are basically dummy amounts, and they don't represent basically my incomes. Then I'm also I also offer accounting and tax services to small businesses, and once in a while I'm able to get some amount of money. So I'll put 300,000, and then I come here to my other income. So depending on the month, I may have some either commission or whatever might come through. So I usually sometimes leave this out. Okay. But if I forecast another income that does not follow under these categories, then I'm able to include it there. Okay. And whatever I'm doing here, by the way, is budgeting. Okay. Whatever I'm doing, budgeting. But to show you here, I'm using an Excel. Okay. I'm using an Excel, but this could be your notebook. Okay. This could be your notebook. Some of you may not have laptops, but this could be your notebook. Get down and see, how much do I earn? Like, how much really comes in on a monthly basis? Okay, for me, if it's a given month, for example, when we October right now, yours is to plan and say how much actually comes in within my incomes, and you're able to list it, as you can see right there. And then I'll now move to of course to my fixed deductions. Okay, now, of course, I included this. I know most of us corporates have, let's say, loans, okay, that we have taken. So maybe I have a loan where I'm paying, let's say, I'm paying a monthly premium of, let's say, maybe 300,000. Okay, and then maybe I have an investment club where I'm contributing 70,000 shillings. And then I have a portion that I put to a given investment portfolio, okay? And of course, this could be, you could have different things that you can think about, but maybe you do some investment in treasury bill, maybe you have a business where you invest. For example, for me, when I was starting out, every month I would pick 500,000 and put in my retail shop, okay? Up to the time when it started being a bit sustainable, okay? So maybe you're saying that on a monthly basis, you put maybe 100,000, maybe under your investments. And then of course the life insurance policy, like I told you, I signed up for this life insurance policy, of course, for personal reasons, okay? And maybe I'll give this, let's say 200,000. And then of course we have this so-called TAFE, especially for my Christian brothers, okay? Of course, for the staunch Christian brothers, I know there are some there are some Christians that are still struggling with this aspect, okay? So let's say, with whole honesty, this is 10%, which is 300,000, that, okay? 10%, okay? And of course, I don't want to go into the conversations of either it is on net or gross. Let's just learn the aspect of budgeting. And then giving charity, I may say on a monthly basis, my whatever I give does not exceed, let's say, does not exceed 5%, okay? So I'll do this, sorry. Let me just, sorry for the formulas, but you can use your phone to calculate that. So 5% goes to 192. And I know some of us who are corporates, we know very well that at least every month, either there is somebody in the village who calls you, or there is somebody who has a wedding and wants you. Now, the reason why you're doing all these estimates is because you don't just want somebody to say, I'm inviting you for my wedding, or you go for a wedding launch and you just start splashing money. You're just trying to think through about the way you actually proceeding to make sure that you're not getting out of control of your finances, okay? Now, there is one thing that is called payment to self, okay? Now, when we speak about expense management and budgeting, people say, now, me, I usually go to the bar and take my beer. I usually do this and I do things. You do personal things that you may not even want to include on your list, or you don't even want to track. Now, one of the things that I've adopted, and of course that is advice that I've really gotten from different other people, is the aspect of paying yourself. Now, on a monthly basis, even before you spend on the general things, there's a payment to yourself. And that payment to yourself is a payment that maybe will help you on things like maybe your clothing, will help you maybe when it comes to, let's say, travels that you want to do, whatever you want to do that is very personal. You may want to create a small budget of it. So you know that maybe this could also be, for example, you want to invest yourself you want to invest in personal development. So it's a payment for you to yourself. Okay. So let's say I'm paying myself, let's say, I'll say 10% of this. So if I'm paying 10% of this, this 0.1, like that. So it's 385,000 baht. So I'll just add my deductions here. And this gets me to that. It's about 1.6. So you can see I'm already now, just so you know that these amounts that I put here are net amounts. Okay. So you don't think about the taxes. Please put the net amounts, what enters your account, so you don't have to struggle with that. So those are my total deductions. Okay. Now, before I come to my expenses, I want to see how much am I remaining with to spend. Okay. So I have that amount of money that I'm remaining with to spend. Okay. So like I said, if this is somebody who is just starting out in their career, maybe they rent a place of, let's say, 300,000. Okay. And then maybe they have a home living expense. Now, the reason why I usually use this on my budget is because I don't want to also go into the nitty-gritties of salt, matchbox, and so on. So I have just a standard amount of money that I put aside as a home living expense. Okay. So depending on your lifestyle, maybe this could be, let's say, 20,000. Okay. 20, maybe it could be, okay. Let's say 5,000, maybe 5,000 times times 30. And I will do this times 30. So you have the water bill, maybe this is 50. Let's just run through this. Maybe this is 20. Maybe electricity. Okay, electricity, maybe this could be maybe 50. Transport, maybe transport, you're traveling every day to work, and they're about 22 days in a month. Maybe you're spending about let's say 10K. Okay, sorry if I did 1K like that. So you might also have clothing and so on. Maybe let me just put let's say 50,000, just in case you're budgeting to buy some clothes in that period. You could have other things as well, but I'll just leave this out. Maybe you could just put something for medical. Just put this amount aside, because you can't tell when you actually get sick, especially when you don't have an emergency fund. Okay, so of course, entertainment, maybe I may put maybe 20,000. Maybe you might go out or go for concert, go whatever you may want. Subscriptions, you might have, let's say, TV subscriptions, okay? And maybe you have a Go TV that you pay 25K. So this will be, let's say, 25,000, okay? Like that. So miscellaneous, you can try to say, just in case anything shows up, maybe this could be, let's say, 100,000, okay? And once we get our total expenses, let's just try to add. You'll be surprised. You see where we are? We actually at that amount. So estimated saving, in terms of saving, means that which is this amount reduced by this. So you remain with this amount. Now, some of these things I've used are really dummy, but it may really differ. Okay, for example, your rent could, let's say, be 500. Okay, your rent could be 500, and maybe you might have other subscriptions. For example, myself, I'm a tutor, so I subscribe to YouTube and so on. So I might have, let's say, this to be, let's say, 125 and so on. So whatever your scenario, yours is to know that that is how my expenses are. Okay, and from this you can now see what to exactly do with this. Maybe increase on your, of course, increase on what you're investing in, or you're increasing on what you're saving in, whatever you may really want to choose. Okay, now this is really idealistic, because many people don't have even this saving, okay, with them. Okay, and the reason why you're doing all this, putting this down, of course, there are things that are going to come that are not even listed on this. Just something shows up and you're totally unaware of it, and then it comes up. Now, that is able to fit within here, but yours is to make sure that this is what you have within, let's say, your savings. So you can't really ideally go higher than, okay? Now, this seems to be a lot of hard work for people, and it seems to be like unrealistic for them. But one of the things that I want to tell you, friends, is that if you can't do the hard things, then there are certain things in life that you will not achieve. Okay, if you can't cope up with certain habits, this is like a habit, by the way. Okay, this is a habit, and now this is budgeting. Now, when it comes to expenses, so what I usually do when it comes to expenses, this is what I do, expense tracking. So I usually add a column here, and I call it my actual. So what happens is, on a daily basis, I come to my laptop and I reflect. Okay, of course, these others are fixed. I just come and reflect. If I've paid the landlord, this one I just come and put it off. Okay, now home living expense. This one, since it's also let's say every day I'm able to track. Now, when I save something on home living, let's say I put 5K, I usually have a small bottle where I put the savings into whatever I've saved on home living. Like, for example, if we've spent lower than what I expected, I'm able to put, so that in case at times when these figures go high, let's say our living home expense go high, I'm able to use this as what? As a cover up, like I told you. And then you could look at other things, like, let's say, water bills, in case a bill has come through. You're not able to note some of these things. Now, one of the things that also helps me in reality is to make sure that I pay off my fixed expenses immediately I get my money. Okay. And the reason why this helps you, just like the way you do for the deductions, it's very important for you to make sure that at least you pay off some of your fixed expenses. So that, because every time you have money, I want to tell you that you get the temptation to spend it. Once you see somebody selling something, you say, I needed those chairs, and I'm tired of having a room that has these funny chairs, so I should change these chairs. Every time you have money, you'll be able to think about when you take somebody out and you just want to go to that nice place. Okay, so I make sure I have all these things cleared off, so that whatever I have an amount of money, I know maybe what I'm remaining with is for my home living expense. And then I also have something, for example, for giving, in case somebody really comes out and they are needy, or they're a friend, or they want to borrow them money. When I am giving them money, I know that I have a giving budget. Okay, just in case things don't really work out. There are also other apps. Okay, and by the way, I'll share I'll share a link to this app that I've used before on the WhatsApp groups, for you to be able to see exactly what you may need to do. So that is what I wanted to basically share when it comes to how a budget looks like. I wanted to do it more practical. So you can use three things that I would recommend you. You can either adopt an Excel in case you have a laptop. Maybe it could be a work laptop, it could be a personal laptop. You could also have, you can maybe do an app. Okay, an app may maybe help you. There are some certain apps that help you in budgeting and expense tracking. You can also use your notebook. Just get a notebook for expenses, where every time you spend, you come and note and come and balance through and compare it with what you have within your budget and see how much is really remaining. This will be a lot of work for you, but I want to guarantee you that it will really make a bigger shift into your personal finances. Okay, it's not easy at the start, and I want to tell you that in the first month you really struggle through, but try it every day. Keep trying it until when it becomes part of you. If you're a family, you need to bring in your spouse into this aspect. If for them they are not comfortable, then give them the home living expense. So you know that on average, this is what you. So you give them. I know there is what we call kameza for our women. So let that fit within the home living expense, where you know that I usually give you 20,000. This is for you. Then for you as a man, you track your expenses this other side. It's a tough journey, but I want to tell you that it's actually something possible. And what works for me may not work for you, but I want to tell you that find something that best works for you and see how you can continuously live within your means and see how you can improve your finances. And like we said, it's not just you trying to say, I'm managing my expenses, okay? But think about your incomes as well, okay? For example, if I didn't have this income, let's just look at this. In case I didn't have these incomes, let's just see what exactly would happen down here. So you see, I already have a negative. This is 690. So I would actually be living over and above. So it means that if there is any bank that would want to give me a loan, I would actually want to run to this to get a loan. Or I would be able to call, let's say, friends, like let's say Darius is my friend, to say, Darius, I need you to help me with 200,000. I'll pay you at the end of the month. Now, for me, those conversations, I really stopped them. Okay, Darius is my very close friend, and we've come from very far, and you'll testify this for the journey that we have moved on. This journey, we don't call each other when it comes to such aspects, because we've tried to start living within our means. Now, one of the other things that I want to encourage you is make sure that you increase on your incomes. Okay, I've done several trainings about how to create multiple income streams, and like I said, you can find this on my YouTube channel. That is Coach Samuel Ibanda. If you need a link, I'll share that with you. And I have gained. Now, when you, by the way, I'll give you a secret. When you're earning enough from some of this, you may even reach a point in time where you have enough on you that even if you don't track some of these things, okay, you can actually thrive through. Yours is to make sure that the fixed deductions are being catered for, okay? And that is, by the way, that is where I want you to start from. Your fixed deductions need to get off your amount of money immediately you earn it, and then you're able to now do what? You're able to start on the expenses and see how to track them. So your aim is to increase your income when it comes to your budgeting, and see how you can manage some of these things. Now, for example, if I have 690 here, I may say that I cannot afford a house of 500,000. And you be honest, even when you have a family, be honest with them, because you're telling them you have aspirations to grow your income. Maybe you want to build. Yours is to say, okay, my rent should now go to 300,000. Okay. So you're able to say, let me now reduce my rent to now, let's say, 300,000. And by the way, you can find good houses that can actually fit within that amount. Home living expense, maybe you may choose to adjust this as well. But of course, this is very key. You may find ways of saying of how to reduce some of the subscriptions. You may say, we maybe instead, why do we have to pay? Why don't we get a free to air decoder? Why do we have to pay, let's say, monthly amount of money? Okay. Or why do we have to have a DSTV when we are still struggling like this? So you may choose and say, maybe this will now go back to 20,000. Okay. Whatever it is. So that keeps on reducing. Now, this is a budget. Okay. This is a budget, and you're trying to look into your finances and seeing how to improve them. So I want to say thank you so much
I'm
for
working tomorrow.
listening to me. Want to be able to take some questions and be able to, I think, finish this conversation. I believe that you've picked something from this conversation. Okay, so I'll take some questions. I don't know if Darius is here, and then we can we can be able to proceed and close this conversation.
Yes, Samuel, I'm definitely here. And therefore, I'll request members to bring on their questions so that we can have them responded to. So once again, as the questions come in, thank you very much for joining us. Please, I encourage you to use the chat room, and I encourage you to name yourself accordingly so that I can pick you using the right identification. But at the moment, I have someone named as Infinix Hot 10. If you can please unmute and ask you.
Right, thank you very much for the presentation. It is really quite encouraging. What I wanted to know is it possible for Samuel to share with us these notes, maybe on our personal email?
Yes, it is possible that this will be shared, but I will encourage you to visit YouTube, where you'll be able to find the entire recording of the session. So I've posted the YouTube link on the room, on the chat room. If you can please go there and subscribe. The entire presentation, both the voice as well as the screen recording, will be shared there. You can also type your email in the chat room. If you're typing your email in the chat room, I encourage you to just write the email without adding any other word. Just type your email. Just the email. Just say dariusinkwasiwa@gmail.com. Just that. Thank you very much. And Samuel is here to continue responding to your questions. So if you have them, please bring them on board. Okay,
yeah,
Samuel.
Darius, thank you so much. And like Darius indicated, you'll be able to access the slides, but also make sure that you visit the YouTube channel, Personal Finance with Darius. There are actually different other videos that have been made around personal finance, so you'll be able to learn a lot. So somebody asked about investment clubs. I think because they saw something on my budget example. Maybe Darius would give me just a few minutes to speak about that. Now, investment clubs, this is where they are basically two or more people that might come together and agree to save an amount of money on a given, let's say, monthly basis. It's like a saving group, basically. And then because it's called an investment club, the main objective is to invest together, okay, at the end of the day. So you may have, myself have been part of investment clubs even right away from university. So you may choose, it could be either your workplace, at the workplace, could either be your friends, could either be just like a saving group. Maybe that could give an insight. I think one of the days, Darius, I think you should be able to think about bringing somebody to speak about investment clubs, maybe. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Samuel, it is part of our plans. We are going to have someone from the Investment Clubs Association of Uganda to share with us details about investment clubs, and members will be able to learn. So thank you very much, Samuel. I see that more people are rather appreciating, and we thank you for having been part of us. So in case you have any more questions, please, you can raise your hand so that I can respond. I'm also going to ask Samuel to type a link to his YouTube channel, and maybe in case someone wants to visit it, they can visit it. Well, I can see it's being shared on the screen. We also have a WhatsApp community that you can join and be part of the discussions that happen there, so that you never miss out anything. Of course, some of the discussions happen inside the WhatsApp group, and if you're not part of it, you may never get to see some of these things as they are being discussed. So Coach Samuel, if I could check if I have more questions here in the chat room. All I see is that people are appreciating for the session. They have learned a lot. All right. Thank you very much, Samuel, and thank you very much, the participants. So in case we do not have any more questions, we could have the session ended from here. Now, for those who would like to be part of the WhatsApp group, please just give me a minute and I post the link here, because I may not be able to type each of your numbers. Just give me a minute and I'll be able to post the link to the WhatsApp group here.
Darius,
Yes,
maybe just a moment. Maybe just also to appreciate you for the invitation to speak to your audience, and to appreciate everyone who has been part of this call. Maybe just use this as an opportunity to just give a few closing remarks. If you're to take away something from this, is that the journey to your personal financial freedom needs your participation and needs your sacrifice and needs your input. That whatever you're going to do every day will actually determine who you will be in actually the next 5 years. Okay, if you want to be rich, if you want to be wealthy, and if you want to start growing your wealth, that will be able to take care of you when you're in your retirement, but also be able to take care of your next generation, your children and your grandchildren, then you need to be able to take certain key decisions about your life and see how you can become better. And that is why I've been able to emphasize all that I have emphasized along the journey, saying it is not something that is going to come easy, but you need to, it's a frugal approach to how you need to live your life. Now, we didn't have more conversations here because of limited time, but like I shared on my screen, you can access some of my videos on the YouTube channel. It's Coach Samuel Ibanda. I shared the link in the chat box. One of the other things that maybe I would also ask you, I would ask you to send me a WhatsApp, just in case you want also to connect with me. Please send me a WhatsApp on that Airtel line that I've just shown on the screen, 070-380-3255. You'll be able to get more information from me. I would actually be able to share with you this template that maybe I presented, just in case you're interested, but also in case you fail to access the YouTube and maybe want to get the link from me, you can also be able to reach out to me as well. I also welcome the participants on my personal website, that is www.samuelibanda.com, where I have a blog option where I share a lot of information about personal finance, business, and career. So be able to check out that and see how to connect with me. Subscribe to my blog to be able to receive some of those weekly emails that I do share. So thank you so much, Darius. I think that is what I basically wanted to share before the team could actually depart. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Samuel, for the kind words. It has been a pleasure to host you, and it has been a pleasure to host everyone else that has been on the call. My purpose is to see that we have as many people become financially literate as possibly can. So please, when you attend these sessions, ensure that you apply what is being learned. But also, if you have an organization, if you have a group of people and would like to invite me to come and speak to you about financial literacy, about personal finance, I will be very delighted to do so. If you are part of our WhatsApp group, you know my number, which I can type here again for those who may want to reach out to me. Okay, that's my number that I've typed in. Someone is asking when the next presentation is. So these presentations happen every Sunday at 5 p.m. It's just today that we had a slight change and we had it at 5:30 because of different circumstances. But next Sunday at 5 p.m., that's when we'll be having our next presenter. You can be sure that it will be something that is very interesting. It will be something that will be very insightful. If you're part of our WhatsApp community, you'll be able to see that information ahead of time. So otherwise, thank you everyone for having joined us. I wish you a great week ahead. Please enjoy and make sure that you put into practice what has been shared with us today by Coach Samuel Ibanda. Thank you very much. Have a nice week.
Thank you. Bye.